all day long. I was waiting for us to come back down and spend some more time down here in this node where the overnight was trading the night before last. And we did not. And then had a ton of strength end of day. Massive spike higher. We have single prints we left behind in the K period. So we had a triple distribution down the previous day, which was very bearish. Got continuation of that into the overnight. And then yesterday, we had double distribution to the upside, which is bullish. And closed the day with a spike higher, closing almost at the very high of the day. So all of that was very bullish to me. And so when the market is in a downtrend and you suddenly have a randomly very bullish day, you take note. So we could be looking at a market that's trying to go sideways here, trying to maybe spend a little bit of time balancing off. I think this area in here, between where we spent most of the time and put in most of the volume during the regular trading hours yesterday, and the area just below it from the overnight where they put in a bunch of time, I think there's going to be some strong support in here today, even though we do have this 1 week reference in need of repair. I do think there's going to be a lot of support in this area. So then it's a question of what happens to the upside. How far can we push this market? Are we going to get the V shape, just get a giant trend straight out of here like a rocket ship, or are we going to balance for a few days? As far as this morning with the markets open, it is bullish. It's a gap up, very small gap. So the first order of business will be the counter auction to the downside, looking to fill the gap. And then we ask ourselves, does the market find support at yesterday's high? Spike rules are in play from yesterday, so opening above the spike is the most bullish scenario, slightly increasing the odds that we will get continuation higher today. If we don't find support at yesterday's high, the market starts to sell off. There's a lot right around the base of the M period single prints. If you look, the overnight spent a lot of time. So there's support in there. If that breaks, then we've got the references to the downside. Looking for support in there. So I would say my overall bias this morning is like mildly bullish. I don't think we're going to break yesterday's low. If we do, that will be extremely bearish. It'll be a sign that there's a lot of momentum to the downside. But I don't think that's what's going to happen. All right, so the first order of business is a gap fill, getting to yesterday's high at 42.90. Good morning, David, Diego, Cyrus, Amir. Cyrus, your messages are going through. Hello. Trading Donkey, good morning to you. Philip is here. Nicholas, Scooball. Hello to you. Trading Donkey, we just got cessation of one time framing lower on the daily. Did we just? Yeah, you're right. We just made a higher low. I mean, a higher high. That is correct. John, good morning to you. J Trader in the house. Dean is with us. MWGM to you. Caffeine. Good morning. Cyber is here. Rev back with us. Good morning to you. Espacio, Jose, and Ned. All right, so we're starting to find a little bit of support here at yesterday's high. If that can hold, that would be bullish. It would still be a gap and go. If not, we're looking for support down here around 42.60 area. Jeremy, do you have a set parameter for entering trades? Like maybe you stay out for the first 15 minutes? I do. I have rules. I have like my rules aren't really designed to specifically get me into trades. They're more rules to keep me from taking them. So for example, all right, well, right now this is getting bullish as a potential gap and go. So, for example, one of my rules is I don't take a trade in the morning until I have certainty about what the market's doing. And when the market opens inside the previous day's range, that often rarely presents opportunities within the first hour or so. All right, well, this is bullish. This is a gap and go. So I'm looking for support now in this node we just created above yesterday's high, 42.96-ish. If that breaks and we start to pull back down into yesterday's range, I'll go neutral once again. Looking for support around 60. But anyway, so this is one of those rare examples that where because we had the gap, because we had the spike up at the end of the day yesterday, I had signals first thing in the morning that the market was bullish. So I was just looking for support right away. And now that I found it, I'm looking to go long. So that's the way I do it. It's not, the rules aren't designed to get me into the trades. The rules are designed to keep me out of them until I have certainty. And this just happens to be one of those mornings where you can get it pretty quick because of the gap. Is a low weak? Yeah, we could consider that weak. One tick from yesterday's high. I am, of course, in 2-tick increments, but it's been pretty volatile, so we'll assume that's still good. All right, so now we're testing the base of the single prints from the 23rd, which, because they were single prints down, should act as resistance here. They were also resistance for the overnight, so can we push through those? As we pull back down, I will again be looking for support around 96. Ocean Blue, thank you so much. He says, if you guys haven't joined the room for $10 a month and then bought the half price market profile trading course for less than $70, well, you better buy it now. Yep. So the market profile course, the e-course, which gives you everything you need to understand how to read the market profile, that is on sale right now. It's half off for Brigade members. So that saves you about a little over $60. And you can join the Brigade for $10. So if you joined now, before the end of February, and bought that e-course, get yourself a nice little discount. And that is only till the end of February. Greg H. I joined yesterday, Junior Pirate. Oh, you'll catch on real quick. Nunez made 20% with the algo this week. That's cool. An algo that functioned properly in this market is impressive, to say the least. Thank you, John Doe. Appreciate you. All right, still getting some resistance. Good taper at the high, so we probably got to pull back here. Like I said, looking for support around 96. Bring in some more buyers. Nicholas bought the course. Good to hear it, brother. I think it's superior to the daily streams. But you can be the judge. Let me know. Ronald and FRM, good morning to you guys. Welcome. Pushing up against that resistance. Can we poke through? Harry P., how do you look for a good level to place a stop? Well, you put the stop wherever you would if you were wrong. So, for example, right now, if you're trading the momentum to the upside, you're bullish on the market, you'd want to put your stop back down inside yesterday's range, right? Now, you don't want to put it right up against the low because there's a weak reference there. We may need to pop a little bit lower. Just repair that. So I'd give it a little bit of breathing room. Next potential support below that is down here. So if you wanted to take more risk, you could go long up here and put your stop all the way down here, slightly increasing the probability the trade will work, but taking on a significant amount of risk points-wise. So the safer play is a tight stop and then re-enter again in here and try once more. All right, so we should start to bring in some buyers here if we're going to get the momentum trade. And I was about to say, and keep the ticks above the zero line. Which we are not doing. Okay, cool. Getting some support. Okay, testing that resistance once more. Right there around the overnight high. Was that enough buyers to get us through there? Was that enough momentum? We shall see. All right, the resistance seems to be holding, so we probably need to pull back down to around that 96 level once again. Looking to bring in buyers for another poke. Lahab, aggressive selling here. No, I don't see aggressive selling at all. Quite the opposite. The sellers are getting nothing. Every time they try to push the market lower, they just get pushed right back up. All right, testing that resistance again. How many pokes will it take to break through? So yeah, I mean, we can see what this resistance is. It's all this in here. To really get a big pop higher, we got to get above like 32. Probably be a grind to get up there too. All right, well, this resistance is enough to get me to move my stop a tick above break even. Losing faith in the buyers every time they fail. Of course, if they can't get through this resistance, then we're probably going to have to pull back down looking for buyers in here, in that 60 area. It's like watching a horror movie when you know the actor is like about to walk into a murder or something. Daniel, is that you? I'm just going to get naked and take a shower. And you're like, don't do it. Karen, no. I disagree, Ocean Blue. I think that was spot on. All right. Well, moment of truth for the buyers here. They got to hold this market up. If they start to pull back down, I would say if they get below 84, then we're heading down to 60. So this is their moment. They need to start pumping these ticks, and they need to get through that resistance. Or there's a murderer waiting behind the curtain. All right, well, that's me back to neutral. Those ticks are not going to hold. All right, so the week A period low is repaired. And there is always the chance that we just look into yesterday's range really quickly and then pull back up out, which would be bullish to see. But if we don't get some support soon, we're going to have a bigger pullback. Mr. Knifeheart, I took the shorts off the resistance high. Is there a way that you could see that as a trade? No, that's a perfectly good trade. It's not a trade the way I look at markets, because there's no probability. There was no way to calculate how successful you would be there. But yeah, I mean, it was resistance. Nothing wrong with selling resistance. It was resistance in the overnight. They ran out of buyers up there, so selling that again was perfectly good trade. Staying in it now, monitoring for continuation, also perfectly legitimate, right? You don't have to take profits here. See what happens when we test this node down here. Do we find support there? If not, see what happens when we fill the single prints, so on and so forth. Just stay in the trade on the way down. But for me, I have to first make sure we're not going to get a gap and go. We're not going to find support here and then take off to the upside, because if that's going to happen, that's the trade I want to be in. Not the guessing trade up here, but the high probability, setup that I recognize, which obviously goes without saying we are not getting here. So looking for a pullback and support between 52 and 62. There you go, McKnife. I think that's great. You took your profits basically at yesterday's high. That's a good area to take profits. And then you got you can put your stop below your entry, so you can't lose any money on the second one. Let's see how far it can go. See what you can get for it. Also, some potential support on the NQ when they push into this 20 moving average on the 15-minute candles. Potential buyers there. Cyrus, I like the short on the open because of the easily definable stop. Yeah, no, you're right. Risk reward. It was a good trade if you got in right here with your stop right there. Well, they sure do make it exciting, don't they? Jeez Louise. Once you get used to that fast tempo, anything less than is just disappointing. Scooball, that taper on the low is bad? Correct. Yeah, that's not good taper. 3,000 contracts to 5,000? Not good taper. Increasing the odds. We need to push down there. Get some more two-sided trade. Also got the value area butting right up against that B period low. That is sometimes a signal we need a little more excess to the downside. Okay, the node this morning that was acting as support when we were bouncing up trying to get through this resistance is now acting as resistance. CCT looks like a tape and goo. Do you mean a gap and go? Not familiar with a tape and goo. But to answer your statement, if you're saying it's a gap and go, yeah, if it pushes through this resistance right now, I will get very bullish. Right quick, because that would be finding support at yesterday's high. You know, they just had to, the B period just had to repair the weak A low, and then that's what they needed. But let's see what happens with this resistance first before we get too excited. Donkey, that was a bit of a stretch, that one. It took me probably a minute and a half to figure out what you were saying. So, Charles, can I sell this resistance again now? I mean, doesn't it get weaker and weaker every time we poke at it? It does. It does increase the odds every time we try to get through the resistance that we're getting closer to successfully breaking. But there is still that short with a tight stop. If you're willing to accept those losses, knowing that the resistance is getting weaker and weaker with every poke. All right, that resistance seems to be holding at the moment. Greg H, is the resistance around 43.10.5? I just kind of see it as this whole node. This general area is what I consider the resistance. So anywhere between 450 and 11. You can see if you look at the 30-minute, you see where the volume just completely tapers off. That's the resistance right there. Okay, so now we got the ticks trending lower and below the zero line as we work our way back down towards yesterday's high. And we remember we have that not great taper down here. Less than ideal. 3,000 contracts to 5,000. Normally you want those numbers to get lower for the last 4 or 5. Like we have up here at the high, 9,000, 6,000, 4,000, 1,400. That's good taper. Skewball supported opening price? I don't think so. I mean, temporarily they were, but no. I think we got to head back down and test those lows. See what we get down there. Jeremy Jones. I get emails from another market profile trader. He said he's expecting rest today after a shutoff of selling yesterday. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the same thing I'm looking for. Balance after all the excess to the downside. Don't know yet, though, if we're going to get a little bit of a V-shape first. Right? That's the question. Is the market just looking to go sideways down in here? Or are we going to get a bit of a pop first, then come back down? Yet to be determined. At the moment, it all depends on yesterday's high. If we can keep staying above it like this, we will eventually break through this resistance. And when we do, we'll get a pop. Like I said, we may have to grind to get through like this level here, 29. But certainly after there. It's all about yesterday's high. Because all the business being done up here is new business. So if they're able to get through this resistance, that's bullish because it's new buyers. Can they do it? Try number 7 this morning. If they do break through, I'd be happy to buy it as support. So they break through, come back down. Look for support in here. Very buyable. Not buying the guess. Buying the confirmation. I will admit, this is some tough resistance, man. It has taken a lot to push through this. But at this point, all the internals are bullish. So they have what they need to break through. Oh, we got a poor high. A push away from a poor high is normal. and it increases the odds that we will come back and repair it at some point. Okay, so now in terms of looking for trades, right? We got a poor high that needs repair above. Okay. We've got a gap and go, which is bullish. We had spike rules that were bullish. We got value higher, which is bullish. So you could be looking to buy support with a very, very tight stop because you don't want it to come all the way back down to the lows again. But to try to take out that poor reference. All right, there's the repair of the poor high. Greg, well, it was a poor high. Now it's a weak high. Changed quick. Greg, weak means no taper, correct? No, taper is its own thing. We just refer to it as taper. A weak high means that the high is weak because it's a tick off from a reference from a previous day. That's what makes it weak. Whereas when the B period was at the same level as the A period, it was poor because they were in the same session. So it's weak when it's from a different session, poor when it's from the same session, if it's at the high of the day. And it's always weak if it's inside the day's range. But it just means there's a lack of excess. It's only one tick from another reference. Okay. So they broke out above the overnight high. I am now looking for this node that was resistance, a lot of resistance, to become support. As we pull back down, buyers should start stepping in there to get us some continuation higher. It's interesting to note we haven't really had a short covering rally yet. This entire move up has been buyers having to grind their way higher. So hopefully when we get above this little node right now that we're working through right now, around 30, we should get a pop. We should get some short covering. All right, that is the C period printed. So we're looking for support at the base of the B period single prints, 43.16. And then, of course, just below in that node around 43.08 as well. Lots of support in there for continuation to the upside. If the C period high gets above the B period high by 2 ticks, the market will have begun to one time frame higher. A gap and go, which is what this is, with one time framing higher, is the single most bullish scenario you can get, increasing the odds that we will have a trend day to the upside. So let's see what happens. The internals don't have a trend day vibe to them just yet, but they could get there if they keep pumping higher. Another poor high on the market here, so we would expect the push away to backfill those single prints. Looking for support. And I believe we're coming up to the base of the single prints down from a few days ago. No, sir. We already cut through that like butter just a few moments ago. There's not much resistance past this node that's currently at the poor high. Volume's pretty thin in here. If you look at the cumulative volume, this is a pretty thin area in here. Okay. We've got poor high in need of repair above, multiple weak references. So the next major resistance I see is this node up here around 44.10 and the two single prints, basis single prints up there. That's the next major resistance. Otherwise, if we get through where the poor high currently is, we could trend. We could pump higher. It would not be unreasonable. We shall see on the private stream. $10 to join, guys. If you join now, you can get 50% off that e-course. Today is the day. Take advantage. Link in the description. Thank you all so very much, and we will see you on Monday morning. Have a great rest of your day, everyone.